I don't know if you guys saw the news, but the NBA is expanding its instant replay rules. According to Tim Bontemps of ESPN, the new rules will allow for officials to review whether a foul should have been called on an out-of-bounds play. That means that even if a replay shows the ball going off a certain team's player and out of bounds, the other team won't gain possession if it is determined they committed a foul on the play. This is in large response to the end of Game 2 of Minnesota versus Dallas in the Western Conference Finals, where before Luka hit that insane shot over Gobert, Jaden McDaniels had the ball, Minnesota's up 2 with under a minute left, and Kyrie Irving slaps McDaniels' wrists and the ball goes out of bounds. And so by the letter of the law, it touched McDaniels last, therefore it was out of bounds off McDaniels. But like if you watch the replay, it was very clear that Kyrie Irving fouled him. And so there's two ways for me to look at this. There's the fan perspective, and then there's the basketball purist. For me as a fan, I don't really like anything that's going to add more replays and more stoppage to the game of basketball. I think there's already so many stoppages in a general NBA game. Like, it actually hit me this past year where like each team has 7 timeouts in a 48-minute game, 14 timeouts in a 48-minute game. I don't know what the math is, but like that's way too many timeouts. Then you have the coach's challenge, then you have potentially the second coach's challenge if it goes right, TV timeouts, and just like other reviews. So like from a fan perspective, I sort of groan at the idea that these games are going to be dragged out even longer with non-basketball stuff. It's just going to be more reviews. But the basketball purist in me actually really likes it. I think this is a very sort of mature thing for the NBA to do. And when I say mature, I say that because, you know, the NBA could have easily just been like, well, the letter of the law is that if it goes out on this guy, then it's off this guy. It doesn't matter if we missed the foul call if it's out on this guy. But I like this, and I respect this from Adam Silver and the rest of the NBA for sort of bending the rules to make it make sense. Because I think we've all seen these plays in the NBA. I think we've all experienced these plays playing basketball. I know I have, where it's a classic. Like, you hit it off, you know, you hit a guy's wrist and it goes out, and so it gets, by the letter of the law, it's off this guy. But if you foul him, then like, what are we really doing? So I actually do really respect Adam Silver in the NBA for not just being so rigid with the rules to say, oh, it's whoever it's off of, and that's the end of that. It's bending the rules and interpreting these moments where it's like, okay, like, yeah, it's off him, but like there's clearly some context and background behind that we need to consider. The thing that wasn't really so clear in reading this article about the new rules is that if it was a foul call, do they then call the foul? Like in that instance of Kyrie and Jaden McDaniels, do they then call the foul on Kyrie? Is it a foul, or do they just like acknowledge, hey, this would have been a foul call, but we can't really go back and call it, so we're just going to give Minnesota the ball back? That's the one thing I'm going to be interested to see. Is it a foul call and then they get free throws or whatever? I guess it depends on if they're in the bonus or not. Or is it just they just have the ball? So it's definitely a new wrinkle. I think it's an important wrinkle that we're definitely going to see over the course of the season. It's not just necessarily going to play out in the fourth quarter of a Western Conference Finals game. It could come out, you know, in the second quarter during the regular season in November. So ultimately, it's the struggle within me of the basketball purist who respects, and I think this is the right decision to do from a getting the call right and getting things right perspective. But as a fan, I do have to admit that it's going to be frustrating to see, you know, more stoppages, because it feels like we need to have less stoppages, not more. So I guess we'll see which one of those things wins out. Probably it depends on if it benefits my Knicks or not.